It's the time of the season.
Hey, welcome back to the Ray Show, Ray Lucia Show. If you want to get Ray via email, you can go ahead and go to raylucia.com. That's raylucia.com. Hit the Ask Ray button, send in your email questions. Pleased to have our regular Lyn Rowe here, CFP, talking about long-term care. And you can find that at iwantmyltc.net. I love it. Yes, safety. I always think about that safety net before you go. You can also get her at 877-270-3127.
Perfect.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit more in detail about. Okay, so kind of common thing we run into is that people don't have foresight when they really need this product. They typically already have a problem, so maybe they don't qualify. Are there like plan Bs?
Great question, John. Actually, there's a couple of things about that. First of all, what we're finding is because science is better and medicine's better, they're determining that people are uninsurable sooner. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. In fact, 1 out of 5, 50 to 59, are getting declined for traditional long-term care coverage, and 1 out of 4, 60 to 69, are getting declined. So the statistics aren't really great if you hang around and wait and think about it.
All the more reason to do it while you're young.
Thinking about it can be more deadly than you think. Now, alternate plan B, yes. Alternate plan B is better than no plan at all.
Right.
And there are alternate plan Bs. And depending on what state you're in, could be a combination of things, could be a combination of, say, a critical and short-term care. In other states, it could be strictly critical care. And in pretty much all of the states, there is a home care only plan. Great plans, excellent plans, not the full spectrums, let's say, of the traditional long-term care, but some is better than none. You've heard me say that ad nauseum.
Sure.
And so having something helps. Now, for example, a lot of people these days are moving into these retirement communities, John.
Right, yep.
Little communities where, they're not by themselves, they're in an apartment, they're taking care of their own needs, they're fine, but, they got a common meal area and so forth. And my brother is living in one of those, as a matter of fact. Well, many times what they find is eventually they need some help, but they don't want to move. They want to stay in that little retirement community. They don't want to move into assisted living.
Well, they're not quite ready for that.
No, but they do need help.
Right.
And they are at the point, as you say, where they just can't qualify now. It's too late.
Right.
Well, alternate plan B, where we can actually pick up a package of hours, home care hours, where somebody can come in, is just a godsend. One of my brother's friends has 2 caregivers. She happened to have the foresight to get the long-term care insurance, but she's got 2 caregivers that come in, help her out throughout the week, and she said, I don't know what I'd do without them. Because now she's using a wheelchair and so forth, and it's a tremendous help to her, but she doesn't have to live in assisted living. She can live in her own apartment in that complex instead.
Right, and that's, there's no defining demarcation line always in these issues when it comes to long-term care. There's lots of different types of long-term care.
Yes.
And so even though you may not be able to get the whole package, you still can get some a la carte entrees maybe.
Exactly right. That's a great way of putting it. And the other thing is, what I'm finding is sometimes people get caught up in that analysis paralysis. Well, I want to see everything that's available and I want to talk about all the alternatives before I make a choice. At some point you need to get to know the person that you're working with, the professional that you're working with, assuming they're a broker and they know all of the alternatives, and let them help guide you, because it's like buying a car. You could be doing it for the next 6 months and never drive off the lot.
Sure. And it's also a matter of not just thinking about yourself, but also thinking about your spouse.
Oh, yes.
Maybe thinking about your kids.
Yeah.
Or if you are working and you're saving for your own retirement, thinking about your parents.
Well,
perhaps.
And I had a call this week from a lady who wants to get coverage for her daughter, and I thought, how foresightful is that? Because she's protecting her grandkids now. She's thinking, okay, if something happens to my daughter, I may be gone, but at least my grandkids won't have to worry about, oh my gosh, taking care of mom. And it's not that it's a selfish thing, it's that their lives are so full and so complex with the grandkids and the sports and then their kids, and by the time the mom needs care, it's just a burden. It's a huge burden.
Well, and as you say, too often people rely on that "I love you truly" plan, which is they wear their heart on their sleeve. They want to prove this last act of devotion to somebody that they love, but really physically, emotionally, logistically, it's not realistic.
Yeah, well, and that's a great point. I actually had another call from a gentleman who sells long-term care insurance, who was asking for some advice, and he said, I just had this difficult case where the guy turned to me and said, pointed at his wife and said, she's my long-term care.
Right.
Oh, Lord.
Right.
I wonder how that couch was that night. But she may or may not be able to lift the guy. There's just so many aspects to being the caregiver that you don't want to wish on somebody who isn't skilled, trained, can get the rest, has somebody to spell them and pick up the other shifts. And frankly, you don't want to do that to your family. It's just too much. I mean, it's too much.
Well, and the thing is, women in particular are going to be vulnerable to this argument because they are caregivers. That's what they want. That's their primary instinct, is to give care, to take care of these types of things. But they're probably in the least position, because spouses are going to develop their own.
Yeah.
Women tend to need long-term care longer, even though
right.
they live longer. They're still elderly. They're not going to be able
to. As a planner, you've seen this over the years, John.
Yes.
It's true, and there's nothing to say that it's not going to be simultaneous. I mean, by the time a gentleman needs care, his wife may not be in the best of conditions. She may be frail. She may have had her own physical ailments. She might have her own cognitive ailments, and at that point, what's he doing? He's putting the burden on maybe the kids. And I mean, Father's Day just came and went, and we all know.
Really, to make the analogy, it's like this. It's like you work your whole life to gather assets for retirement, so you can have a happy retirement and do the things that you want to do, travel, see your grandkids, whatever it is.
Yes.
All right. The alternative is that you do nothing and you turn to your wife and you say, when we retire, you're going to go to work and take care of me. I mean, that's kind of the long-term care equivalent, right? Is that my retirement plan is that you will now go to work and take care of me for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
And realistically, it just can't happen.
It can't happen.
Right.
And so, no, you make a good point. Being responsible about it for yourself is the most important thing, because if you love those folks around you, then you want to make sure that their quality of life continues to be good. And you raise those kids to be independent. Come on. You made sure they went to school, you walked them down the aisle, whatever it was. They had their own lives, and you want them to continue. Don't take that away from them.
Hey, we're with Lyn Rowe, as we always are on Mondays, talking about long-term care. You can get her at iwantmyltc.net. That's iwantmyltc.net, 877-270-3127. If you don't have long-term care insurance protecting the assets and the retirement that you have worked your whole life for, you really need to get on the phone or go to iwantmyltc.net, iwantmyltc.net. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about age being a factor. Is somebody too young? Is somebody too old to start taking a look at? Some people may figure, well, I'm just too old now. There's nothing that can be done. We're going to talk a little bit about whether that's true or not.
Good news day.
Good news today. Hey, if you have questions, send them in. RayLucia.com. Hit the Ask Ray button. We'll be back right after this.
When I'm 64.
Hey, welcome back to the Ray Show, Ray Lucia Show. If you have questions for the great man, he will be coming up shortly. You can go to RayLucia.com, hit the Ask Ray button, and send those questions in to us. We'll get to them live on the air. And today's kind of a moody Monday. Yeah, but it's a good moody Monday. We're all in good moodies, not bad moodies.
That's true.
Because we're coming off a weekend.
That's true.
The weather was beautiful this weekend.
Day.
Yeah, and Father's Day. I got everything I wanted. I'm sure everybody else got what they wanted. So let's talk about this issue. We were talking about it before we went to the break about, is there too young age? Is there too old an age? I think some people get discouraged because they've, it's like with retirement planning. They figure, well, I'm too old to do anything now.
After I get off the show, John, I'm going to visit some clients of mine who are in their 90s that I set up with a plan.
Right.
About 3 months ago.
Really?
Yes. So no, you're not too old to be thinking about this. Again, alternate plan B, but alternate plan B is better than no plan at all, which is what very often people do, because they just kind of cross their fingers, stick their head in the sand, and hope it's all going to work out.
And there are a number of different components when it comes. I mean, there's many good reasons to buy long-term care insurance, because you love people in your family and you don't want to burden them, because you want to improve your own quality of life.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I have it.
You want to protect your assets that you've worked your lifetime to build up. And I mean, from a risk-reward standpoint, I mean, I would say that everybody carries fire insurance for their house, right? You know, how many people are really going to have a fire?
Less than 2.5% after age 65 is what we're hearing. That's the stat on a major fire in your home. Less than 2.5%. And even after people pay off their mortgages, they're not going to let that fire insurance go. That's crazy. If that lapsed on a Friday afternoon and they got that notice in the mail, I mean, they wouldn't be having a barbecue that weekend, and they'd be on the phone first thing Monday morning, please get my policy back in force.
Yet the statistics say for couples, 70% chance that they're gonna need it. And we were talking last week about the statistics that looking at retirement planning in general, that if you take into account long-term care costs, which often are calculated when they think about.
They are not included in most financial plans.
Right. When the number of people, the number of households that are ready for retirement drops more to closer to 50%, rather than the 75, 80%. And so I think there are many people probably right now who are listening who are not prepared for this, and all it really takes is a phone call.
That's all it takes, because what we'll do is we'll look at the current resources, the cost of care in your area. We'll kind of crunch the numbers together. We're a team at that point. And once we've crunched those numbers and we see where the gap is, then we start looking at those side-by-side alternatives. But the key issue before that is to get folks pre-qualified. Just like you pre-qualify for a mortgage, John, you pre-qualify for the coverage. And that way you know who's on the table and who's off the table as far as the carriers go, and who's likely to give you the best possible rates. We
are with Lyn Rowe, CFP. You can get her at iwantmyltc.net. That's iwantmyltc.net. You can also call her at 877-270-3127.
You said something earlier, and I wanted to touch on that. You said too old or too young, which I thought was kind of an interesting question, because I just got a call from a lady this week that said, you know, I want to get the coverage for my daughter. And I thought that's a really unique twist.
Yes.
Good for her for thinking along those lines.
Well, I would think that most young people think of it kind of as a luxury item, at that, like, you know, I got to save for retirement, I got to save for college, we got to pay the mortgage.
But what a great gift for that grandparent to get the coverage on their child, on their child, to protect those grandkids' future.
Well, and because of the age, you do lock in the lower.
Oh, it's so much less.
The lower rates.
Yeah.
And you'll never. I mean, every year you're just going to get more expensive.
Yeah.
And so.
And even with a couple of rate increases over your life expectancy, oh my gosh, it's still like phenomenally lower.
So give us an idea of what. So how old was this young lady?
I think she's in her 30s, maybe 40s.
Okay, so what does that cost? If I wanted to give that to somebody,
you drive the train at that point. You can say, okay, here's how much, I have $100 I can spend on coverage for my daughter. How much can I get?
Right.
That's the way to do it.
Okay, so
pick your number.
Right. Now, can you add to it later on?
Some cases you can.
Right.
If the product's
you have to qualify that.
Yeah. But if the product's still available, yes, you could increase it. But if it's not, then you buy more coverage. A different separate plan.
Right.
Or a supplemental plan.
So, and it's not too late for Father's Day.
No.
Still, even.
No.
You could still do it for Father's Day.
That's right.
If you didn't do something for your father, you can do it. You can do it right now. Again, the website is iwantmyltc.net. iwantmyltc.net. And we talk about this as a safety net for people, but it's not just a safety net for money. It's also a safety net for a human being.
Lifestyle,
right.
Quality of life. You're making sure that you have a quality of life, as you were saying earlier, because you've got caregivers who are professional, who aren't likely to drop you in the shower, who
Right.
aren't going to be falling in the kitchen and maybe trying to sue you.
Right.
I mean, they're bonded, licensed caregivers.
You know, and you talked about something earlier in the show that I thought was important. So if you're like in a position where you're doing the I Love You Truly plan and you're just at your wit's end and you need some respite service, you can buy a package of hours.
You can buy, well, if you're not needing care today, you can buy that package of hours.
see.
If you're needing care today, there's another alternate plan B.
Okay.
And that gets back to if you have life insurance, which many people still have life insurance. They might have their VGLI if they were in the military. They might have group coverage still in place. Life insurance can be converted into a long-term care plan.
I see.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter who the carrier is.
This
It
is
doesn't
the
matter.
linked benefit.
No, it's a different plan.
Different plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So explain how that works.
Well, if you have life insurance, we can set it up so that life insurance can be converted. If you need care now, if it's imminent, we can convert that into a long-term care income stream.
I see.
Yeah.
So you're basically just taking the payment
Right.
up front.
But many companies won't do that. So what we've done is we've got a structure where you can do that. Doesn't matter who the carrier is, doesn't matter if it's group term, whole life, it doesn't matter what kind of coverage.
So somebody essentially buys the contract.
That's what they do.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's that. But if you need the money, you need the money.
If you need the income stream, why not?
I mean, why let
Yeah.
it sit there? I mean,
Yep.
certainly it's nice to be nice to your heirs, but
Which is another reason why when people need care, the last thing you want to do is lapse that life insurance, because that could be your ace in the hole when you think, okay, we've got to get some respite here, we've got to get some relief financially.
and that would be oftentimes the thing. Even if you didn't qualify for long-term care, you might qualify for a life policy. Is that right?
Yes. When you say that, it depends on if they need
Okay.
care or not.
Okay.
Okay.
Immediate care, right?
Immediate care. If they
Right.
need immediate care, then at
Right,
that point.
but somebody out there might have said, I've already tried to qualify for long-term care. I don't need care now, but I have this condition,
Exactly.
and so
Could be
right,
rheumatoid arthritis.
Right,
Could
what
be
I-
the kind of thing that's not going to prevent you from getting life insurance. But by golly, long-term care is not an option. Well, you might pick up the life insurance at that point and hold on to that puppy.
So there is more than just. I mean, a Plan B
Yes.
is like a Plan B1, Plan B2, Plan B3, Plan
That's right.
B4.
We got a few
There's
options.
lots of different options
It's
for people.
because I have, John, specialized in this. I've done my homework. I've talked to vendor after vendor. I've done the homework that you don't really want to have to do. And I've set it up so that I know when I see your circumstances,
Right.
what alternatives could be really the best.
Folks, you spend a lifetime building up those assets. Go to iwantmyltc.net. iwantmyltc.net. Take 15 minutes, 877-270-3127. That's 877-270-3127, because it's not just a safety net, it's also peace of mind for people.
Peace of
I mean,
mind. Like Jeannie, she said to Ray, one of the best things we ever did was that long-term care plan.
Well, knowing him, he's gonna last for a long time. And man, does he?
And would you
he's
want to be
needy.
Ray's caregiver?
He's
Come on
needy
now.
too.
Yeah.
You know how needy he is.
Yeah. Honey.
They can't afford to buy like a package of hours because they just run out too quickly. So yeah. So I'm just tickled that you come on and talk about this, because I think it's one of the underreported areas of financial planning. It's not sexy like the stock market and some other things that go on. It's kind of boring and dry, but it's not so boring and dry when you actually need the coverage.
Exactly.
When you need the money, it's all of a sudden one of the wiser things
when
that
dad
people
or
have
mom
done.
needs care and you can't be there, you're 3,000 miles away, you can have peace of mind if you bought coverage for them, because they're going to get quality care.
It's Lyn Rowe, CFP, iwantmyltc.net, iwantmyltc.net. You can also call her at 877-270-3127. Give her a call right now. Take 15 minutes. You spend a lifetime accumulating those assets. Take 15 minutes to protect that lifetime. Hey, we're going to come back right after this. More Ray. He's going to answer your email questions. If you have questions for the great man himself, you can go to raylucia.com. That's raylucia.com. Hit the Ask Ray button, and he will get to them on the air in just a few minutes. I'm John Bam Ransom, filling in but not replacing the great man himself, who will be up right after this.
I love